Good day, Johnny Reb gamers. This is video number 3. Today we're going to be covering the first part of the turn sequence, mark orders. As you can see, these are the chits that you get with the game. And each chit represents what your regiment can do, or your brigade. On page 34 in the book, it describes each of these chits, page 34 and 35. So if you'd like to look in more detail about that, you can go to page 34 and 35. On the left, on a sidebar, are these wonderful dials made by Reb III from Historics. You can order these from him. They're worth their money because it's nice to have a dial that has all the chits that you see in front of you on one spinner. So in the game of Johnny Reb, let's just cover what the markers mean really quick. And when you mark orders, you're going to pick one of these markers and you're going to put it next to the regiment of what you want that regiment to do. Now, if your brigade is doing the same movement or the same thing, you can mark the marker by the brigade leader, and the whole brigade will do whatever's marked. So let's go over to chits really quickly. Again, on page 34 and 35, it describes in detail the benefits of each marking. H simply means hold. Your unit will hold. This is good to have if you're expecting a charge or if you're just waiting to see what the enemy is going to do. If you're on hold, you also get the fire after all first fires. You can also countercharge if you're marked hold if you're charged. You also do defensive fire when you're charged if you're on hold. You can also refuse a flank with one of your stands if you're on hold. Holding units will always fire before any moving fires. So the advantage of hold has a lot of advantages, but it may not be what your unit wants to do. The second set of markers are the arrows. Again, remember that when you're marking orders, you put it face down so your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. The arrows are simply, you flip it and it will show you the direction your regiment's going to go. What I do is, if it's going straight forward, I point it straight forward. If I'm going oblique left, I angle it to the left, or oblique right, angle it to the right, or going backward either by putting it to the rear. Now movement, one thing about movement is if you choose to fire after movement, you will lose a die. Well, that's the cost of movement. You will lose one die on your die roll for firing. The next set of die, the markers, there's C, and that's charge. C is for charge. That means the unit intends to charge. Now it's important in this game, as you'll find out, you can charge regiments separately or supported. So if you're going to do a supported charge, make sure that the regiments that are charging with the lead unit has a charge marker on it also. And one little side note, there are CH markers. That means condition hold. Sometimes people are confused that CH is charge, which is understandable. But in this game, the C markers are charge. The CH markers are conditional hold, and I'll talk about them in a few minutes. The other markers are D. D means disengage. The unit faces to the rear and moves a full disorder move, plus a roll disengagement move bonus away from the most threatening enemy. This is a good marker to use when your unit is in trouble. When there's maybe an overwhelming amount of enemy stands coming at it, whether you're just in a bad situation and want to get out of it. Or maybe you're down to 2 stands and you just want to leave that. The advantage of disengage is if you're fired upon, you will only get half casualties on your regiment. The next marker, and this is a fun one, is FR. That means first fire. That means as soon as orders are revealed, the very first thing that happens is first fire. All units are in first fire, get the first fire at one another, and the casualties are immediately put on the enemy. So the advantage of first fire is you get a +1 modifier for first firing on your die roll, plus you inflict casualties if anybody else is marked hold, movement arrow, disengage, formation change, and all the other things. So it's a great advantage. The next marker is FM, that's formation change. The unit is changing formation. Basically, you leave one stand in place, and you can turn your stands, the rest of your stands, in any formation you want. Caution on that one is just like movement. If you do a formation change, you will lose 1 die roll if you fire in moving fire time. The next one is condition hold, that's CH. Condition hold you can place if you decide to change your order. There's negative benefits to that though if you do that, especially if you're charged. You do lose a dice if you go to condition hold. And if you're involved in an impact or melee, there's negative effects on that too on your modified morale. The only time you can't put condition hold is if you are ordered to first fire or disengage. But all the other markers you can change to condition hold after you have revealed the orders if you want. Or I disregard the or. The other markers on the chit sheet are nice to have. You can see at the bottom it's out of ammo. Whenever you roll boxcars, your troops are out of ammo until the next turn where they can try to replenish. There's prone markers if your troops want to go prone. And on the right lower part, there's out of command and control. That's important too. Put a marker by a troop that is out of the distance of your commander. There's negative consequences for being out of command and control. So again, on page 34 and 35, if you want to read more in detail, you have first fire, disengage, hold, move, the arrows, formation change, condition hold, and charge. It gives a more in-depth understanding on those pages if you want to read it. So this is the first thing that we do when we begin the turn sequence is we mark orders. Remember, you turn the markers face down so your opponent doesn't know what you're doing. And then we'll have routes, rallies, replacements, and then we'll flip them over when it's reveal orders in the third sequence of the turn sequence. So this is number 3. Again, this is about what the markers are for each troop regiment in Johnny Reb III.